All right, when I say EV revolution, what do you picture? Probably a Tesla, right? A sleek new car sitting in a suburban driveway. Well, what if I told you the real revolution, the one that's absolutely exploding right now, is happening with the boring old trucks and vans you see every single day? Because let's be real, you see the headlines everywhere. Is the EV dream stalling out? We hear all this talk about shaky sales numbers, buyers getting cold feet, and of course, that constant worry about finding a charger. It kind of sounds like the whole electric vehicle party might be winding down. But that's not even half the story. Just look at this data from S&P Global Mobility. It shows what's really going on. While consumer EV sales actually dipped by 2% recently, the commercial side, well, it's a completely different universe. Registrations for electric trucks and vans shot up by a staggering 274%. I mean, that's not just growth, that is a full-on market explosion. This is the great divergence, and it's the real story of electrification today. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dig into this tale of two very different markets. Then, we'll uncover the commercial world's secret weapon, what I'm calling the TCO superpower. After that, we'll look at the real roadblocks holding things back, zero in on the 2027 tipping point, and finally, check out what's on the road ahead. So, let's kick things off with this tale of two markets. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of that wild 274% number and figure out why this massive split is even happening. It really all boils down to two totally different mindsets. On the one hand, you've got the consumer market. It's often about emotion, how the car feels, the cool factor. And it's super sensitive to things like interest rates and that dreaded range anxiety. But the commercial market? Nope. It is all business, driven by cold, hard numbers in multi-year financial models. And they're totally insulated from the public charging mess because they just build their own private charging depots. It's spreadsheets versus sentiment. And check it out. This growth is happening everywhere. Those last-mile delivery vans bringing packages right to your door, up 69%. Medium-duty trucks, the ones doing regional runs, up a huge 73%. And yeah, even the big rigs, the heavy-duty trucks, are seeing a solid 34% jump. So what's the fuel behind this rocket ship? Honestly, it comes down to one big idea: the TCO superpower. This is the simple, unstoppable logic that's pushing fleets to go electric. So what the heck is TCO? It stands for total cost of ownership. And this is key. It's not the sticker price. It's the complete cost of a vehicle over its entire working life. The purchase price, plus fuel, plus maintenance, plus uptime. For a fleet manager, this is the only number that really matters. It's their spreadsheet superpower. And this is exactly how it saves them a ton of money. First off, fuel. Electricity is just cheaper per mile and way more price stable than diesel. The source material mentioned, a company like Ecolab, expects to save about $1,400 per truck per year just on fuel. Then there's maintenance. We're talking savings up to 50% because EVs have way fewer moving parts to break. And that leads to the big one: more uptime. Less time stuck in the repair shop means more time on the road making money. And this quote just nails it. The most important factor driving commercial fleet electrification is the compelling total cost of ownership proposition. You see, this whole revolution isn't really about being green, although that's a nice bonus. It's about the bottom line. It is a rock-solid, financially sound decision. Plus, commercial fleets have this secret weapon that just erases the biggest headache for regular EV owners. It's called return-to-base depot charging. It's so simple. The trucks leave a central hub every morning with a full battery, and at night, they come back and plug right back in. No range anxiety, no hunting for a public charger that actually works. It's a perfect closed-loop system. Okay, but it can't all be that easy, right? Of course not. So let's talk about the roadblocks. Because the problem isn't the trucks. The tech is there. The real issue is getting everyone to play nicely together. This right here is what the industry calls the 2-year problem. So a company decides, great, let's order 100 electric trucks. But you can't just plug them all in. First, you have to get the local utility involved. Then they have to do a whole study on the grid's capacity. That study will probably show you need massive transformer upgrades. And only after all that can you actually start installation and get permits. This whole dance can take up to 2 years. It's a massive, massive bottleneck. So when you boil it all down, the main barrier here is not that the technology has failed. The trucks are great, and the math works. The true failure is one of coordination, getting the fleets, the manufacturers, the utilities, and the regulators all on the same page. And there are a few other systemic hurdles too. policy can be a moving target. Tax credits with weird expiration dates make it really hard to plan for the long term. The upfront costs are still pretty steep, which is why those incentives are so important for now. And honestly, there's a huge knowledge gap. A lot of dealerships just aren't ready to sell and support a complex commercial EV ecosystem yet. But even with all those hurdles, the pure economic logic is just too strong. It's pushing the entire industry towards what many are calling the 2027 tipping point. This is the moment when the market is expected to finally take off on its own.
Yup, the year that everybody in this space has circled on their calendars is 2027.
So what's so magical about 2027? Well, analysts are projecting that by then, falling battery costs, and we're talking a nearly 40% drop just between 2023 and 2025, according to some like Goldman Sachs, plus manufacturing at a massive scale, will make the sticker price of a new electric truck cheaper than a diesel one. And get this, that's without any government subsidies. At that point, the TCO argument isn't just a good idea, it's an absolute slam dunk. The market becomes its own engine. So, with that tipping point on the horizon, what's next? Let's look down the road ahead, because there is some amazing future tech that's going to transform not just trucking, but maybe even our whole energy grid. Here are 3 game changers to watch. To solve long-haul trucking, we've got megawatt charging on the way. Think about adding hundreds of miles of range in the time it takes a driver to take a mandatory 30-minute break. Then, to help the power grid, there's vehicle-to-grid, or V2G. This will let fleets literally sell power back to the utility, turning their parked trucks into virtual power plants. And finally, the next huge leap in performance, solid-state batteries. They promise way more range and faster charging, and they should start showing up toward the end of the decade. So when you step back, the big takeaway is crystal clear. While the consumer EV market is figuring things out, the commercial world is already all in on its electric future, all driven by simple, powerful economics. The future of logistics is absolutely electric. So the only question left is, are our power grids, our policies, and all our partners actually ready to plug it all in?